letters. I don't say that he didn't maybe know some of these things in his earlier letters, but sometimes you know things and you see them in your heart, and as time goes by, you get better at putting words to them. Right? But if you read like 1st and 2nd Corinthians, and I know some of it has to do with the people he was talking to, but Ephesus was also a Gentile country that also was into idolatry and temple worship and all that kind of stuff. And I think you see, as Paul really began seeing the expression of the word of life, you really start to see his letters build. You know, where he's really talking about life. And I think the same thing with John. You see John. When John gets to his letter, even though he's combating the Gnostic lie, man, he's enamored with the word of life in that letter. Mm-hmm. Right? That's what he's enamored with. And he says, this word of life has done something to me. What it's done is it's come to my heart and it's removed fear and it's replaced fear with the love of God. Because I see that I have intimacy and union with Jesus, and Jesus is the word of eternal life that's been from the beginning. And through that word of eternal life that was manifested in Jesus, Jesus is a human being, and the word of eternal life manifested in him as a human being. I'm a human being. That means I can be braided together with eternal life through that human being. And so I have intimacy and union with that human being by believing on that human being, and that gives me intimacy and union with the Father of all lights. And what that's done in my heart is it's replaced fear with love. That's why he says, he who loveth not knoweth not God. Right. The reason he said that is because some of these guys that were teaching Gnosticism rejected like the apostles and stuff, and were trashing them and wouldn't let them into the church. And he's like, listen, you see how they're behaving? See how that ain't love? He said they were never really with us. How do we know? Because they've gone out from us. Yeah. I've had to learn that the hard way, because so many people you think were with you in the grace, you realize they weren't really into grace at all. They were into something else, right? You realize they were never really with you because now they've gone out from you. Sure. That doesn't equal that for everyone that maybe strays. Because some people have different places in their heart where there's confusion that needs to be ironed out, okay? And some people just flat out reject the truth. Some people, everybody's on their journey. And we don't want to judge the different things in people's hearts that need to be ironed out. Right?
Because it's not for us to do. That's for
No.
God to do.
That's right.
That's what's so comforting.
Well, and God's not even going to judge them for that. God's going to judge that the things in their heart are confusion and haven't come from him. But he's not going to judge against them. Right? I preached that whole message about judgment. God doesn't judge. And he says he given all judgment in the hands of Jesus. And then Jesus even says, I judgeth no man.
Right.
That confuses us. Mm-hmm. Jesus judgeth wisdoms. That's why it says, in the day that Christ returns, and the secrets of men's hearts will be revealed. Christ is going to come, and he's going to judge the wisdoms. He's going to reveal the truth about the wisdoms. Which ones come from God, and which one doesn't. And then whichever one you've believed on for life will manifest in you. Right? So that's the judgment of God. This doesn't equal life. This does. If we want to put it in its most simplistic terms, the judgment of God, we're going to go all the way back to the Garden of Eden, and we're going to see where God told Adam not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because in the day you eat from it, it will kill you. That's the judgment of God. Right. That's the judgment that's going to manifest when Jesus returns. He's going to judge against that tree as the way unto life. Yes. Right? And then that judgment will be seen. Just like we talked about with Egypt, where it says God judged the gods of Egypt. What did he do? He walked through the streets, if you want to think about a person, or he released his word that said the wages of those gods isn't life, it's death. And then his judgment was against the people or against the gods? The gods. But in the day that those people wanted to make those gods the way unto life, his judgment was seen in them. Yes. But that doesn't mean he judged them. Right. He judged the wisdom. He tried to get them to turn away from the wisdom for a long time. In fact, he kept showing them what their wisdom was doing to them. Right. So they would turn away from it. Yeah. And so his judgment was against their gods as a way unto life. And so he released his word, and then his word manifested those gods for what they are. Do you see how different that is than we think of judgment?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But it's judgment nonetheless, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So if we want to look at judgment, God's judgment was, Adam is my son. I love Adam with all my heart, with all my soul, with all my strength. I don't want him to die. Adam, that tree can't give you life. It can only kill you. That's the judgment of God. So
God's judgment's a discerning.
Yeah.
He discerns what the truth is in a life and what is untrue.
Which is untrue. Right. And so the beginning of the judgment would be he judges us as his. He comes and judges that we're his kids. Right? He judges that. And then because he judges that, he comes with his judgment about which wisdom in life comes from him and which doesn't. Right? It's like if I was busy living outside in the yard and I thought that's where my house was, that that's the place where I had to dwell. My dad would come out there and say, listen, man, you're my son. The place for you is in the house. If you live outside, man, what's going to happen is you're going to end up dying. It's going to get cold. You're going to be naked. You're going to freeze to death. You see how his judgment was, I'm his son, and because I'm his son, he comes and tells me that the place I'm trying to dwell is going to kill me, but that my real dwelling place is in the house.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah. Yep.
That's the judgment of God. Do you see how every aspect of that is actually for people? See, his judgment is against that which kills people.
Right. Yep. And then you can see that judgment carried on.
Yeah, it's throughout the whole Bible.
Yes,
this thing.
right. Yeah.
We get confused about this, but the way the thing will go down when Jesus comes back is demonstrated throughout the whole Bible. Right?
Yep.
And it's designed to be that way so that we interpret all those things the same way. Like you see the way I interpreted Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yes.
The way the life of God came. How did Jesus come when he came to Israel? Did he come to kill them? He came to save them, didn't he?
He did.
He came to love them, didn't he? But what did he say? Israel, Israel, I came to gather you unto myself, but you would not.
Right.
Okay? That's how it was with Sodom and Gomorrah. He came to love and to save, but it says they ran away from him. They would not. They cowered away. What did Adam do with God? Cowered away. When Jesus comes back, he's coming to love and to save. But those who aren't filled with the Spirit of the Son, there would not.
Right.
Do you see?
Cower away to death.
Right. They're going to cower away and condemn themselves to the second death.
You bet.
God isn't. God's coming to condemn death to death.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming to save us all from death. He's coming to gather us to himself. Some of us are going to be led by the Spirit of the Son and say, Abba, we've been waiting.
Let's go. Yes.
Some of us are not going to have the Spirit of the Son, and we're going to not come to him, and we're going to cower away unto destruction. We would not.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Jesus came to love the Pharisees, man. He came to save them from that ministration of death, but they would not.